Okay, what's good, guys? Today we're gonna be watching CGP Grey. I've been subscribed to this man for a while, ever since he made that Penny video. But we're gonna be watching CGP Grey. How to become the Pope? The Pope just died like a week ago while I'm making this. So rest in peace, Pope. He was a great man, great man. And let's see how they'll get his replacement. Let's see.
Let's say you want to become Pope, head of the Catholic
Now,
Church, and shepherd to
I'm
over
gonna be the Pope. I'm gonna be the Pope. That's what's gonna happen. I want to be the Pope. Okay.
1 billion faithful. What requirements must you have for this lofty position? First, be a Catholic, and second, be a man.
Dang. Well, I already failed one of those. I'm not gonna tell you which ones I failed, but I failed one of these.
Which seems a little thin, and while it's technically possible for a regular Sunday Catholic to become Pope, the last time this happened was essentially never, because becoming Pope isn't like becoming president. You can't just run for office. Selecting the Pope is an inside job, and the men who do it are the cardinals, and while in theory they can select any Catholic man to become Pope, in practice they prefer to elevate one of their own.
So it's nepotism. Okay, I see how the Catholic Church does their thing. They're all nepo babies. All the popes are nepo babies. I see. I get it. They're all nepo babies. Again, inside job, bro. What is this?
John Cardinal became Pope was more than 600 years ago, so while it isn't...
No, I'm gonna change that. In 600 years, bro. That's like... When was this video made? Like 12 years ago? Yeah, 12 years ago. So it's like 6. So it's gonna be... Yeah, I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna be the first one.
An official requirement, it's an unofficial official requirement.
Okay, so
Thus,
how do
in
we
order to become Pope,
cardinal?
you'll first need to be a cardinal, and to do that, you need to start climbing the Catholic corporate ladder. Step 1, become a priest. Unlike some churches where you can just fill out a form online and poof, ordained, the Catholic Church treats becoming a priest as a real, you need training profession. So you're going to require a lot of education, usually a college degree in Catholic philosophy and then a master's in divinity. In addition to your...
A master's? A master's? Dang, bro. This is like a full-time job. I thought being like a priest is like a side hobby for people. Dang, a master's?
Educational qualifications, you must also be a man, unmarried, and willing to remain celibate.
You can't. Oh my god. So all popes are virgins? Same. Nah. Yeah, but like, all popes, really? Dang. Dang, he's never even had a girl, dang.
If you meet these requirements and have been working with the church, then you can be officially ordained as a priest, which basically means you get to run a Catholic church or work with another priest who does. But you want to move onward, and to do that, you need to take the job of the man who just made you a priest. Step 2, become a bishop. Bishops are a much more select group, while there are about...
Bro, I like the hats. I like
work with another priest who does. But you want to move onward, and to do that, you need to take the job of the man who just made you a priest. Step 2, become a bishop. Bishops are...
Now look at the hats. They're so... I don't know what about it. The hats is like an egg roll, bro. I like the hats.
Much more select group. While there are about 400,000 Catholic priests worldwide, there are only about 5,000 bishops.
Dang! 5,000? Ugh, that low? Dang, so they're like special roles. Okay.
Priests get churches, bishops get cathedrals, from which they oversee a number of local churches. To advance your career, you must wait for a bishop in your area to be forced into retirement at age 75 or die sooner than that, freeing up space for you. But you
Yeah, I think they're gonna die, then retire.
You can't just apply, because there's already a secret list of potential bishops that's updated every 3 years.
No, it's all nepotism! It's all nepotism!
Current bishops in your area think would make a good replacement for one of their own. To be on that list, in addition to the obvious requirement of being a pious person, you should also be at least 35 years old, have been a priest for at least 5 years, and have a doctorate in theology or equivalent.
A doctorate? A doctorate? Dang, this is like a full-time investment. Okay, so this is we are trying to be the Pope, so I do expect it. Okay.
Assuming you're all these things, your name...
You have to be at least 40 to become the Pope.
May or may not be on the secret list.
It's not even a guarantee.
Bishops then give that list to the Pope's ambassador for your country, known as the Apostolic Nuncio. The Nuncio picks 3 priests from the list, does in-depth research on them, conducts interviews, and selects the one he thinks is best. But it's not over, because the Nuncio sends his report to Vatican City and the Congress of Bishops who work there, reviewing potential appointments from around the world. Okay. If the Congress of Bishops doesn't like any of the 3 candidates, they can tell the Nuncio to start over, returning to the list, picking another 3 candidates, doing more research, research, more
Man,
interviews,
it's
and sending off the
tedious,
results.
bro.
When the Congress of Bishops is happy with one of the nuncio's candidates, that name is given
Okay.
to the Pope, who can reject the candidate and start the whole
Bro.
process over. It shouldn't be a
This is just like the U.S. government. It's so tedious, bro. And this is just for one guy. This is just to get one guy elected, bro. Dang. No wonder it takes so long to become a pope, or for the pope to happen. You gotta do all this.
surprise that from vacancy to a bishop's replacement can take months and, on occasion, years. But assuming a
Heck
bishop in your
yeah.
area retired or died at the right time, and you were on the secret list of good priests, and the nuncio picked you, and you made it through his interview, and the Congress of Bishops approved you, and the Pope didn't veto you, poof, now you're a bishop. But you're still not on top.
Yay.
The penultimate promotion is step number 3, become a cardinal. Despite the fancy name and snazzy red outfits to match,
I see that. You ain't slick. I look at that. That's Palpatine's royal guard, bro. What is that?
cardinals are not the bosses of bishops. They are bishops, just with an additional title and additional responsibilities, the most notable of which is electing the new pope. The only way to become a cardinal is to get the current pope to appoint you as one, and of the 5,000
Dang.
bishops, only about 200 are ever cardinals.
Dang.
But let's say your ambition doesn't go unnoticed by
my
the pope
school
and
has
he makes
more
you a cardinal.
big
Now it's time to play
cardinals
the
than
waiting
that,
game
bro.
for his death or retirement, and with popes,
Yeah, that's gotta
death
be
is vastly
awkward.
more likely.
Dang.
When either happens,
That's true.
the cardinals under the age of 80 are brought to Vatican City, where they
under or what?
and he makes you a cardinal. Now it's time to
You
play
gotta
the
be
waiting game
80
for
to
his
be the
death
Pope?
or retirement, and with popes, death is vastly more likely.
Uh.
When either happens, the cardinals under the age of 80 are brought to Vatican
Under the age, okay. Yeah, because if you are over the age of 80, you're gonna be pope for like what, 10 years max.
City, where they are isolated from the
Well, I
outside
had a
world,
family.
presumably
Well. I have family members who are like 100 years old, so I think I would be pope for at least like 30 more years.
by taking away their cell phones and tablets and carrier. And
No, I
with
saw
popes,
that. Hold
death
up, look
is
at that.
vastly more likely. When either happens, the
He
cardinals
hid
under
his
the age
phone
of
away.
80 are brought to Vatican City, where they are isolated from the outside world, presumably by taking away their cell
No, I see him. You saw that? He hit his phone.
phones and tablets and carrier pigeons. Once sequestered, the election of a new pope can begin. These elections are never exactly the same because the ex-pope leaves instructions on how he wants his replacements to be picked, but in general it works like this. 4 times a day, the cardinals go to the
So
Sistine
you can't
Chapel
even. So it's random every time. So you can't even like study.
to vote, and to become pope, one of them must get a
Where's the
2/3
smiling
majority.
guy?
There's a big dose of mustn't be too hasty here, as the cardinals don't just raise their hands or use a modern preferential voting system, but instead write down one name on a piece of paper, stand before the altar, and say a long Latin phrase before officially casting the ballot. Once all the cardinals have done this, the votes are counted.
Let's read
Modern
this.
preferential voting system, but instead write down one name on a piece of paper, stand before the altar, and say a long
I call as my witness Jesus the Lord, who obey my judge, that my vote is given to the one who, before God, I think should be elected.
Latin phrase before officially
be
casting the
that would
ballot.
be a good
Once all the
pastor.
cardinals have done this, the votes are
Great
counted and then
preacher.
burned. This is why TV news
Yeah.
stations covering the election of Pope use super
Preachers.
modern HD live streaming cameras to look at a chimney. If the smoke is black, no
Oh.
new Pope. The high victory threshold and tediously
Those
slow
gotta
voting process
be-
is why it
what-
takes so long
color
to
gotta
elect a
be?
pope. It's usually at least 2 weeks of voting, 4 times a day,
Dang.
6 days a week, with 1 day a week reserved for prayer. But the record length
Lord,
is
that-
3
I don't know.
years. Assuming you eventually win the support of
Dang.
your fellow cardinals, you have one final thing to do before becoming pope. Pick yourself a new name. There's no formal rule, and you can name yourself anything you like, but it's tradition to take the name of a previous
Urban, Boniface, Stephen, Pius, Leo, Innocent. Why would you name it Innocent, bruh? That's not a name. That's a what's it called? An adjective, not a descriptor. Clement, Benedict, Gregory, and John.
pope.
Okay.
Upon the acceptance
I would
of your
pick
new
John,
name,
I
the
guess.
final ballots are burned clean to make the smoke turn white and announce to the world
Oh,
that a new pope has been
awesome.
selected. So that's the career path. Be born into the right half of the population, become one of 1 billion Catholics, then one of 400,000 priests, then one of 5,000 bishops, then one of 200 cardinals, wait for the current pope to die or retire, and convince 2/3 of your fellow cardinals to select you as the one, the only pope.
How would you convince them? Wouldn't they just be like? How would you convince them? I wonder. Okay. Is that the end? Okay, we're at the end. How to Become the Pope by CGP Grey. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you next time.